Hello everybody, welcome back to the table. Today we're taking a look at a folding knife from Cutco Knives. This is their 2 3/4 inch lockback folder. Now, I've had my eye on this folder from Cutco for years now, but the chance to buy one new in box hasn't really come up until recently when a young person in my life fell into the vector marketing trap. And rather than spend thousands of dollars on kitchen cutlery, I just decided to buy this folder. So in my viewpoint, this video is coming from a fan of folding knives, not an expert in kitchen cutlery, and I'm going to compare this lockback knife to current modern folding knives and see if it's worth the asking price or even close to it. So taking a closer look at this knife, the Cutco 1891, the handles are a glass reinforced nylon, or GRN, which is, a fancy way of saying plastic. They have a nice faux bolster effect with some really nice textured checkering that actually provides a decent amount of grip. I kind of wish that more of the handles had this texture. It feels good in your hand. The blade of the knife is 2 3/4 inches long, has a nice satin finish, and the markings on the blade just say Cutco USA 1891. And the blade steel here is a 440A. So yes, 440A, very basic by modern standards, but Cutco has kind of stood by this steel for generations now, and they likely have a pretty good heat treat for it. And so the fact that this knife is USA produced is also, a plus in its corner. The lockback has a tight action, centering on the blade is just fine, so no issues there. Also, once you open it up, the lockup is bank vault tight, so there is no blade play, any direction, up, down, left, or right. Opening the knife is easy, but if you want to flick it open, it definitely does require some wrist action. Nothing impossible, but I feel like I should mention that. Overall, the knife is thin, feels really good in the hand. There's no jimping on the spine of the blade. I think that would be a good addition to give you some extra grip when you're holding the knife. And at 6 7/8 inches overall, it really doesn't feel too small in the hand like I thought it might just by reading the specs of the knife online. So let's make some comparisons. First off, we have the Kershaw Leek, which many consider to be a smaller sized everyday carry knife. So let's check these out side by side and give you a take on the size differences. You can see too that the Leek is a bit thinner, but with its steel construction, it is a bit heavier than the Cutco. And of course, we have to compare it to the Kershaw Blur, and the Blur comes in a bit larger at every dimension, but still, take a look at the size and thickness comparisons. And last for now, let's compare it to the Spyderco Endura. And of course the Endura comes in with a blade about an inch longer than the Cutco, but we can still see a comparison here. I wish I had a Spyderco Delica on hand. I think that would make a really great analog to this Cutco knife. An important thing to mention about the Cutco 1891, though, is that we actually do have a reversible pocket clip on it. It will carry tip up either right or left hand side. And the clip is coated black, so after time, it'll definitely start to show some wear and tear, more than a satin clip would. The lockback action will not quite fall closed on you if you're trying to close it one-handed, so it's more of a two-handed closure, unless you use your body, to shut the blade. And we only have 2 Torx bit screws holding the knife together. And I wanted to see if they were T8 like I suspected, but it looks like they were actually T10 sized. Here we can also see a lanyard slot on the rear of the handle, and it is super narrow. So you might want to gut your paracord if you want to use it with this knife. I'm thinking maybe they were thinking, what, shoelaces to go in there? Just really thin. And lastly, let's actually check out the weight of this knife. So the benefit of having those GRN handles is that this knife is super light. So it comes in at only 2.23 ounces. And my overall impressions of this knife are positive, given that this knife comes in though at wait for it, over $100. It is in no way competitive in the current folding knife market. In all honesty, this is a $30 to $40 knife every day of the week. And I give it that because it's made in the USA and it has a lifetime warranty. So I'll leave it at that. If you want and have to have this Cutco folding knife, I would very much recommend finding a used one on eBay going for less than half of that. Just be patient because a lot of these 1891s, they were customized by previous buyers. So it's not uncommon to see names, to see dates, other stuff engraved on these knives because they're often given as gifts. And of course, there is the controversial nature of Cutco, also known as vector marketing. I already had some idea of the sales practices of this company, and doing some basic searching for information really leads to a lot of former unhappy employees sharing their opinion online. And that's really a shame because the product, like these knives, they're good. They're workmanlike knives. But the fact that the company basically, chews up and grinds through all their salespeople is really unfortunate. I think, though, that this is really the only way they can get people to pay full retail for their product. So people like me, buying a knife out of pity for the poor soul selling one for a few extra bucks, well, I bought one, so you don't have to. Hope you enjoyed this brief foray into the world of Cutco knives. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'd love to hear from all of you, and have an excellent rest of your day. Bye-bye.